here to judge you, I should say. So ask all the silly questions you want to ask. Very high-tech alligator call. Never try that. What are you feeding them? Bad children.
Yep.
Did y'all bring some?
I got one.
Yeah, we got some for you.
We can get rid of them. Today we are feeding some wild pig for the most part. It's about 90% of what we feed are feral pigs.
Nice.
You guys don't have feral pigs where you're from. Give it a little while, I bet they show up. So there are about 300 adults out here in the main swamp. There's about another 400 worth of their offspring down the path. So you're looking at almost 700 alligators total on property.
Are we allowed to feed them?
I would hold your stuff until I get done and then you can feed them.
Oh.
That way we're not both competing against each other. They're gonna come after my stuff well quicker than they're gonna come after your stuff.
I mean, mine is able.
You can try it, but I'm just telling you. So really what's landed these 300 adult alligators out here though is just being an alligator. What used to be creeks and swamps and bayous has now turned into waterfront property. So just being an alligator's pretty well got some of these guys in trouble. Now one good thing about them though is they're actually very good at association. They associate times, places, sounds, even colors. They see in color about as well as you and I do. For some reason, pink is their favorite color. Some of you ladies might need to watch out. Y'all stay in the middle. You'll be fine. We haven't lost anybody yet today. It does not take a very big alligator, though, to ruin your day. At about 6 to 7 feet, which is the size of this one right here on the bank. At this size, though, they have a bite force of about 400 to 500 pounds. Now, the reason that is significant is because our arms and legs tend to start breaking about 450. So that little alligator could actually do quite a bit of damage. Now once they jump up in size to about 10 feet or so, which this one right here below me is right around 10 feet. Uh-oh. Bobbed when he should have weaved. But at 10 feet, that bite force jumps to about 1,800 to 2,000 pounds. And then Captain Crunch is one of our bigger fellows that resides back there in the back that holds the record for bite force for a male American alligator at 2,982 pounds. This is true poundage, not PSI. They can actually generate into the hundreds of thousands of pounds PSI or tooth pressure. So he's only going to bite you once. Good thing is he can only hold that bite on you for about 20 minutes. So if y'all have got 45 minutes to kill, things are going to be fine. At least we'll hope so, right?
Has anybody here ever been attacked by one?
Usually if we're getting bit by one, it's a small one that we're getting out for you guys to hold up front there. Granted, I'm in close proximity to these alligators, but I'm typically not sticking body parts in and around their mouth if I can help it.
Typically.
Typically.
What's the biggest one y'all have?
There's about 30 of them that are over 12 feet. There's probably a handful or two of those alligators that are in the mid to upper 13-foot range, like 13.8, 13.9. They're probably pushing 800 to 900 pounds at that size. These guys are about 2 to 3 times the weight of what you would find in a wild alligator. They're laying around getting fed all day, so they're super heavy.
Well, what's your smallest alligator you ever had?
Smallest one we've got right now is about to turn 1 year old here in August, which would be those ones up in the grain silo. They have the same birthday every year. So everybody hatches out about the same time. We'll go ahead and touch on that. Breeding season kicks off about mid-April, goes through the end of May. This is all temperature related. They have to have warm weather to do anything in life. They cannot eat if it's too cold outside. Internal body temperature of 55 and below. They cannot process food, so they don't eat during the winter. And then they wait till it gets nice and warm to start chasing girls a little bit.
Like Captain Crunch was?
What's that?
Well, we could have find Captain Crunch because he was chasing girls.
You're right, he is chasing girls right now. So yeah, April and May's breeding season. We'll see nests get established early June. 65 days later is when those babies will hatch out, which is late August, early September. So same process every year. What y'all are seeing right here, right now, are all the non-pecking order fellows. If you are not big enough, the ladies do not pay you any attention, so you've got nothing better to do right now other than eat.
I have a question.
All right, let's hear it.
What's the smallest alligator you have? What's his name?
His name is Tiny Tim.
I bet
He's up there in the grain silo.
I like your earrings.
So here about August or September, though, we will have some very fresh, new hatchling babies hopping out.
And also,
So we're-
what do the alligators do on St. Patrick's Day?
What do they do on St. Patrick's Day? Drink green beer, I'm sure.
And what do they also do on Valentine's Day?
On what?
On Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day? I guess they eat candy hearts, as far as I know. So we're definitely not filling any of these alligators up at one time if they wanted to. Some of these bigger fellas y'all are seeing can actually eat about 1/5 of their overall body weight. So let's take this big guy that's down here front and center. We're gonna say he's 11.5 feet. He probably weighs a good 500 pounds, if not more. Y'all play nice over here. At 500 pounds, if something big enough comes along, like a pig, a deer, maybe a third grader on vacation, he can eat 1/5 of his overall body weight. So we're talking 100 pounds he could eat at one sitting. Now, if we're at the extreme other end of that, I thought he was about to do that over there. That's associated with breeding season. He was doing a head slap. He's trying to intimidate some other alligators. Now y'all can see he's nice and puffed up, trying to appear bigger to whoever he is trying to threaten over there. But if we're at the extreme other end of that, and let's say that same 500-pound alligator is having a hard go of things, life's a little tough, as long as he gets 10% of that overall body weight, so now we're down to about 50 pounds, he can go upwards of about a year to a year and a half with no food whatsoever, still keeping that lovely figure of his. So it kind of shows you how good these guys are at energy conservation. There's another one about to do a head slap, I believe, or he's yawning, one of the two. Oh, I got excited. He was just yawning. Anticlimactic, wasn't it? Yeah. If y'all have been hearing any of that stuff going on, like I say, that is associated with breeding season. These big guys are trying to assert their dominance. They're running all the small alligators out of their territory, trying to attract the ladies. I heard a bellow earlier. You guys might have heard it. Sounded like an outboard motor kind of cranking up. I don't know if you guys were hearing that or if it was just me. But that is what's going on right now. Good catch, alligator. So I don't know if you've noticed, but they're not taking much time to enjoy their food. Physically, they cannot chew. Everything these alligators are going to eat, they're just going to crush and swallow in its entirety. Inside of that alligator's stomach, there is enough hydrochloric acid produced. They can break down just about everything they're going to encounter out here. We're talking bones, teeth, feathers.
You got some grown
Nikes don't do so well. That's a long story. Get your shoes off before you throw them in.
Oh, and also, one of your alligators is missing an arm and a leg.
There's a couple of them out here missing arms and legs. Yes, ma'am. What was your question?
Why do they have teeth?
Why do they have teeth? So they can catch and eat things. Same reason you do. Otherwise, you'd be on a liquid diet the rest of your life, which would not be fun. You'd have to puree all your food. Turn it into a mash. Swallow it down. They do have a bunch of teeth in there. They've got about 80 teeth in their head. Teeth are the only thing that these alligators can regenerate. So once they lose a tooth, there's another one ready to come out. They're kind of like stacked up ice cream cones. They're in a preset socket. They just do not have a root attaching it like ours would. But once they break off that tooth, they will, you're hired, sir. Once they break off that tooth, they will actually have another one ready to emerge. The older they get, though, the slower that regeneration process. So if you're looking at a big guy that was like 13.5 feet, missing all of his teeth, He's probably in his early to mid 40s. He could just be an Alabama fan, I'm not sure. One of the two is going on there though. So really the way you age that alligator is after he is dead, we could take his femur bone, cut it in half, stain it, magnify it, and count it like you would rings in a tree. So 50 is about what they live to in the wild. Older in captivity. Some of these alligators that were born here that you're seeing down the path are potentially going to make it to 60. And then oldest ever documented is early 70s, which is more of a zoo type setting where you've got one animal they're taking absolute best care of for the entirety of its life. Oh, what else hadn't we talked about? Right now, yes, probably so. I toss things in as big as me sometimes. Whole pig carcasses. So yes, this would be bad news bears. Now, if we were randomly walking through the back here, we weren't feeding alligators and you fell in, it's probably going to scare you more than it would anything. But yes, right now they're definitely in a feeding mindset, and whatever's coming into this water is definitely getting eaten and destroyed.
Do you ever throw anything alive in there?
No, sir. It'd probably be cool, but there's a lot of people that don't want to see that, and we.
I mean after hours.
What's wrong with this one's mouth?
The little one here.
Yeah.
He got in a fight with somebody, and that's probably where it's got a hold of it, and that tooth or whatever was right there kind of flipped up out of there, and that's just how it's healing up. So it's just an injury. All right, what else hadn't we talked about? How many babies? We pick up about 600 eggs annually, a little over 600 eggs, which equates to about 20 to 25 nests. We are not a mass production farm, so we're not interested in hatching out 600 alligators. We'd be overrun very quickly. We hatch out about 50. Those guys get loaned out to various educational facilities around the area. So if you guys go to like the zoo or the state park or Dolphin Island Sea Lab and y'all see any smaller alligators around this area at any facility really, it's probably come from our farm here. So that's about all we're doing is growing our own alligators at a very slow rate.
At what point are you going to get out of there and get away from
Are you getting nervous? I mean, I'm feeling okay. They're typically not going to try and attack things on land. I'm hoping you guys are going to warn me when it gets real close. But it's out of their character to try and run up on the land and eat stuff. The vast majority of what they're eating are turtles. Their method of hunting is ambush. So they're going to hide this big massive frame in relatively shallow water with those eyes and that nose exposed. Boom, got him. And when something gets close enough, he simply reaches over, grabs it, and eats it. So it's very, like I say, very uncharacteristic of him to try and eat me right here. He's looking up at me saying it's a pretty big prey item. He is really just associating me with food, and if he's well behaved, he's going to stay right there. Some of these I definitely do not trust. There are alligators that I know, like this one over here, its name is Sneaky. Every time I come out here, Sneaky comes up from that corner, comes over here and just kind of lays here and lets me feed Sneaky until, things are over with. But for the most part, he's probably not going to try and eat me. At least I hope he does.
Are you guys, what are you going to do if you get too many? Like, are you worried about not being able to sustain the amount of alligators you have?
From a legal standpoint, we could probably put a few thousand alligators out here. We're not trying to get that many because we would be overpopulated and have a hard time feeding them all. Right now, everything we get is donated to us. We'd like to keep it that way. We get stuff from farmers, hunters, butchers, taxidermists, feral pigs. Right now, the government's catching feral pigs and they bring them to us. If you've got some farmland or large tracts of land that they are causing damage, the USDA will come out and trap pigs, get them off your property, and then they bring them to us because they got to get rid of them somehow. So yeah, we can put thousands out here, but we're not trying to get there anytime soon. So that's why we're only hatching maybe 50 or so a year.
And can you identify most of these by name, or?
There's about 100 or so that have names out of almost 700 on property. Not everybody has a name. You gotta earn your name around here, eat a bad kid, something along those lines. Or I just make it up and you gotta believe me anyway, right?
Like Sneaky over there.
Yeah, that is Sneaky though. The rest of them don't have names. Sneaky does have a name. But yeah, not everybody has one. You got Nova?
Eat a bird out there.
They're pretty lazy animals, especially because you guys are feeding them so much. I have seen them catch birds before, but I doubt it's jumping up, grabbing it out of the air kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, if anything gets close enough, they will gladly eat it no matter what it is. All right, let's hear it. Crocodiles are cranky.
I was waiting for it to say
They
something.
have a large medulla oblongata.
You been watching Wild Kratts or something? What are they telling you on TV? They're not really cranky, they're just hungry, in my opinion. I don't think they're trying to bite me, they just want some food, and they know I'm the guy with the food. So that's kind of what's going on. They're really not all that cranky. The wild ones, well, they're kind of similar. They really would probably rather just leave you alone. What gets them in trouble is people start feeding them in the wild. At that point, they're losing their fear of man. They're coming over looking for free handouts because they don't want to work for their food. And it's just, people just think they're being aggressive, whereas really they're just hungry and trying to come get a bite to eat.
Is there any like cannibalism or?
Typically, if an alligator is going to eat another alligator, it's a very large one eating
Yeah.
a fresh hatchling. The vast majority of those hatchlings do not survive to adulthood. We're talking 2 or 3 out of a 35 average clutch making it to adulthood. So they're getting eaten by everything, not just alligators. Snakes, frogs, fish, turtles, birds, fire ants are actually a relatively new invasive species that will engulf and kill baby alligators. So yeah, everything eats them when they're small. Yep, he's yawning. Look, you can see down his throat.
He had a meal.
Same thing, huh? Well, guys, since we're back here at the back of the swamp, if y'all hadn't made your way through, y'all head back there, check it out. A couple of your bigger guys reside in the very back there. There's about 30 of them that are over 12 feet, so there's big dudes roaming around everywhere. If y'all hadn't held an alligator, Miss Anna should still be hanging out up front by the 1 and 2 year olds up there on your way out. If y'all want to hold one, I highly recommend you do so. They're not slimy, they're not slippery, they feel kind of like a $2,000 pair of shoes. And last but not least, if y'all need to get rid of somebody, y'all see me behind the golf cart over here.
Okay, I might.
Take donations.
Y'all enjoy.